Hari Om. Valmiki Ramayan is an ancient epic of India, highly valued for its contribution to human values since centuries and has universal relevance. Today, let us look at Valmiki Ramayan as the story of Lord Ram. Saint Valmiki is also known as Adi Kavi or the first poet, Ramayan being the Adi Kavya or the first work of poetic brilliance in Sanskrit. Along with narrating the life story of the Prince of Ayodhya, Sri Ram, Sage Valmiki has also encoded extremely powerful mantras and the essence of Tantra Shastra within these 24,000 shlokas, composed of 24,000 verses and 7 kandas. Each kand is further subdivided into a sarga, sections or chapters, and each sarga is composed of multiple shlokas. The first segment of Valmiki Ramayan is called as the Balakhand. It has 77 sargas with a total of 2,270 shlokas. The first sarga of Balakhand with 100 shlokas is Sage Narada's description of the entire Ramayan to Sage Valmiki. He narrates the complete life story of Lord Ram right from his birth until the end of his life on earth in these 100 shlokas. This is also known by the name of Sankshipta Ramayan or abridged Ramayan. The Balkand describes the childhood days and adolescence of Prince Ram. It focuses on the Putra Kameshi Yagya that Dasharath performs to beget his 4 sons. The education and upbringing by Sage Vishwamitra, Ram's visit to Mithila, breaking of the Shiv Dhanush, Sita's marriage to Lord Ram, and finally the Balkand ends with a description of the post-marriage celebrations and the happy days that followed. Balkand also includes short stories woven around Sage Rishishringa, Demoness Tataka, Vaman, Kartikeya, Emperor Sagar, story of Ahilya, the descent of Ganga, the legend of Trishanku, and many others. Moving on to the second segment of Valmiki Ramayan, the Ayodhya Kand. As the name suggests, this part of the story takes place in and around the city of Ayodhya. It consists of 119 sargas with a total of 4,273 shlokas. This segment starts with Dasharatha's wish to coronate his eldest son, Ram. However, due to a fateful turn of events that follow, Kaikeyi, his queen, asks for Ram's exile. Ram, along with Lakshman and Devi Sita, leave Ayodhya for 14 years of exile. The events that follow are Dasharatha's death, Bharata's return to Ayodhya, his search for Ram. Bharata, however, fails to convince Ram to return to Ayodhya. He then vows to rule Ayodhya as a mere representative of Lord Ram. By the end of Ayodhya Kand, Ram decides to go further away from Ayodhya and travels further down south. Thus, we enter the next segment of Valmiki Ramayan called the Arannakhan. This is where they face all kinds of enemies in the Dandakaranya forest. Sita gets abducted and Ram and Lakshman set forth on their search for Devi Sita. This segment consists of 75 sargas with a total of 2,473 shlokas. The fourth segment of Valmiki Ramayan is called the Kishkindhakhan. This segment starts with Hanuman meeting Lord Ram. Ram resolves the disputes in the Vanar kingdom of Kishkindha and recruits them in a search for Devi Sita. This segment consists of 67 sargas with a total of 2,462 shlokas. The fifth and the most popular segment of Valmiki Ramayan is called as Sundarkand. This is the part of the story that captures the journey of Lord Hanuman, where he performs extraordinary feats in his search for Devi Sita. To state that he was successful in his mission would be an understatement. Not only does he fight immense odds on his journey to Lanka, he finds Sita, assures her of her rescue, and almost ravages Ravana's entire kingdom to ashes in the process. It consists of 68 sargas with a total of 2865 shlokas. The sixth segment of the Valmiki Ramayan is called as the Yudukan. This segment has an elaborate description of the battle that ensues between Lord Ram and Ravan. In the 108th Sarga of Yuddhakand, Lord Ram kills Ravan, and by the end of this segment, Sri Ram Pattabhishekam, a grand coronation of Lord Ram, takes place. In total, this segment has 128 sargas with 5894 shlokas. Before we move on to the seventh and the final segment of Valmiki Ramayan, I need to mention about a popular dilemma that a few people have. There is an opinion that Uttarkand is not a part of Valmiki Ramayan but instead was added later. There are all kinds of arguments to prove or disapprove this theory, but the fact remains that many aspects of Valmiki Ramayan remain incomplete without the inclusion of Uttarkand. None is particularly fond of stories that end in sorrow and suffering. So they like to conclude the story with Sri Ram's Pattabhishekam. But as the wise opine, Ramayana is not really a happy and fun story in the first place. It is a profound lesson on how a human being behaved, placing the well-being of the others above his own, despite going through all sorts of troubles in his life. So for our study, let us include all that is available as Ramayana. The seventh and the final segment of Valmiki Ramayan is called as Uttarkand. It consists of 107 sargas with a total of 3763 shlokas. This part of the story describes the troubles Ram had to go through even after his coronation, like losing his wife Sita Devi for the second time, almost killing his own sons Love Kush, etc. Despite such hardships, he takes every single decision in life, placing the well-being of the larger society above his own. It is his strength of will and steadfastness of character that we remember, cherish, and worship through the story of Valmiki Ramayan. Hope you enjoyed this journey. If you wish to know more about Valmiki Ramayan, here are a few references for you. Jai Shri Ram. Hari Om.